Hi guys, welcome to Monday's video. Today we're not two-step equations. Forgot to change the title of that. We were still talking about multi-step equations, but today they're going to include fractions. So I just learned this trick from the other 7th grade teachers on how to get rid of fractions really easily. So hopefully this is a lot easier than it may seem, because I know we all dislike fractions very much, including us teachers. Trust me, we do not like doing this as much as you guys hate doing it as well. Okay, so what you need is a pencil, paper, and your computer. Obviously, hopefully you're already on your computer. Don't title your notes two-step equations. Title it multi-step equations with fractions. Here are some pictures of my family from this week. It was really nice out, so we got to enjoy the outside. Unfortunately, Sundays are kind of busy for me in terms of making the PowerPoints and all that, so I didn't get to enjoy being outside as much as I wish I had, because it was beautiful out. So let's get the ball rolling. I'm going to time myself so I don't go too long. Again, if you are, well, you're supposed to be taking notes because that's what you need to submit. Rewind, pause. You don't have to write everything down, but you do need to write the big important pieces. And one of those big important pieces are the examples. So last week I did mark some people incomplete because you didn't have the examples on your paper. And that includes people that are doing it on their computer. So if you don't have paper at home and you're trying to do it on a Google Doc, make sure you are still including the examples in a way that you know what to do when you have to do them yourself. Okay? Now, if you don't have paper at home and you need paper, email me and I will get you some. I have plenty of paper here. Or I will buy some and send it to your house. Okay? So let me know if you need paper. All right. Our objectives is I can solve multi-step equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign that include fractions. All right. So before we begin, this is a review. Should be in your notes from last time of how to solve a multi-step equation. I'm not going to go over it, but if you want to rewrite it down, you can pause the slide. Okay, the most missed question for Friday's quiz was this one here. So I'm going to go over it really quickly. First things first is I need to distribute everything. So I need to distribute this -5. This side stays the same. And I distribute -5 times 2 gives me 10n. And -5 times -2 gives me +10. Now I can add my 10n to both sides. And I am moving this one here, this -10n first, because it has a negative, and I know that the opposite of a negative is a positive. That's why I'm choosing to move it that way. So over here I have 16n plus 10 equals 10. Now I'm going to subtract 10. 16, so I get 16n equals 10 minus 10 is 0. So divide each side by 16, and I get n is equal to 0 over 16, which is 0. Oh, which is 0. Okay. Time for me to flip this over so I can write a little bit better. Let's go ahead and get started on what we're going to do today. So I'm going to go straight in with an example, and then I'm going to talk about what I did, okay? So for ease of use, I am going to put a parentheses around each term. So let me go ahead. First thing I am going to do is I am going to draw parentheses around each term, around each fraction. And I am actually not including the plus or minus signs. I am only doing it around the term. So however many terms you have in your equation is however many parentheses you need to have. Okay, Now, I need to find a common denominator between 4, 3, 6, and 12. So, I wrote out all the multiples, and here I have my common denominator of 12. So, each of these fractions, I'm going to multiply by 12. Okay, so now when I am multiplying by 12, basically I'm going to divide the 12 divided by the denominator. So I'm doing 12 and 4, so I'm simplifying it. So 12 and 4, so 4 goes into 4 one time, 12 goes into 4, 4 goes into 12 3 times. Now I'm taking that 3 and I'm multiplying it by this 3. Okay, and I get 3 times 3 is 9x. Okay, so I've gotten rid of that fraction. Now I have to do the same thing for each fraction. 12 divided by 3. So these turn into, we can divide both by 3. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. Now I'm going to take that 4, multiply it by that 2, and I get 8. So I'm just bringing this plus down. I'm going to bring down my equal. Do the same thing here. 12 divided by 6. So 1 6 and 2 6s. So 2 times 1 is 2x. And then over here, 12 divided by 12, there's both 1 in there. And so 1 times 5 is minus 5, right? So I'm just bringing that minus down, minus 5. And now I have an equation that doesn't have any fractions in it, and I can solve it normally. So I'm going to move my 2x over. If any of you guys know how to get that to stop changing, let me know, please. These cancel over here. 9 minus 2x gives me 7x plus 8 equals negative 5. Now I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. And I get 7x is equal to negative 8 minus 8. That gives me negative 13. And now I'm going to divide each side by 7. I'm going to write it up here because there we go. And my answer is x is equal to negative 13/7. So what did I do? I did something called clearing the fractions. It's a way to kill the fractions so I don't have to mess with them. So I don't have to you could solve it if you feel like you are fluent with fractions and you can subtract the 2/3 from both sides and all that. You're welcome to ignore this strategy. I think this is really helpful and you're going to use it next year. All right. So what did I do? These are the steps I took. You can pause this slide and write these down. You don't have to write all of this down. Please paraphrase it however is best for you. Basically, I put the parentheses around the terms. Then I found a common denominator, and I used that common denominator, and I multiplied each term by that in order to reduce it to a number without a fraction. Okay? And now you should not have a two-step. My apologies. Not a two-step. You should have a multi-step problem. Without fractions. All right. So how many of you guys feel like this? I hate fractions. I know a lot of you do. Okay, let's do a couple of examples. I'm going to draw parentheses around each term. And I'm not actually going to include the plus or minus. Here, I need to find my common denominator, so I already did my multiples. Here, as you can see, the 6 is going to be my common denominator. So I'm going to multiply each of these by 6. Okay, and by doing that, I do 6 and 2, that reduces down to 3 and 1. So 3 times 3 gives me 9x. And 6 and 3, that reduces down to 1 and 2. 2 times 5 is 10x. And then 6 and 3, that reduces down to 2 and 1. So see, 6 divided by 3 gives me 2. Now I'm multiplying that by 19 to get 19 times 2 is 38. Okay, now I can just solve it normally. 9x plus 10x gives me 19x equals 38. Divide each side by 19. And I get 38 divided by 19. Let's see, do they have any numbers in common? Yes, they do. 19. So this is 38 divided by 19 is actually 2. So my answer is x is equal to 2. All right, moving on. Let's try another one. What is my common denominator? Now here we have to watch out. We have 4 different denominators in this case. So we need to have one number that all of those numbers can go through. So I did my lists and I found that the common denominator in this case is going to be 30. So I need to draw my parentheses. I'm not including the signs, but just make sure you bring those down. Now I'm going to multiply each of these by my denominator, which is 30. I have to draw my 3's weird because it keeps popping up that thing. There we go. All right. 30 divided by 2 is 15. If I can actually, get this thing to work. So 15. 30 divided by 5 is 6. Oh, sorry, I forgot a step. So 15 times x gives me 15x. Now I'm bringing down my minus, and then I did 30 divided by 5, which gives me 6. 6 times 3 gives me 18. So see how I'm taking the 6 and the 3 to get 18. I bring down my equal, bring down my negative. Now 30 divided by 3 gives me 10. 10 times 2 gives me 20x. And then 30 and 6 divided by that gives me 1. 30 divided by 6 is 5. And now I'm going to take 5 times 1, which gives me plus 5. And I've gotten rid of my fractions. Now I just have to solve it. So I'm going to move the negative 20x first because it's a negative, and the opposite of a negative is addition. And I love adding. I prefer adding over subtracting. So I'm going to add 20 to both sides. And now I get 35x minus 18 equals 5. These canceled out. Okay, I need to add 18 to both sides. I'm adding because that's the opposite of a negative or a minus sign. And over here, I have 35x is equal to 18 plus 5, 18. 23? 23. Divide each side by 35 to get x by itself. And my answer is x is equal to 23 over 35. Do they have anything in common? No, they don't. That's my final answer. Let's do another example. All right. Here we have some terms that don't actually have a fraction in them. So how do we deal with this when we're doing this strategy? I want you guys to notice, if you guys look back at these examples, all of the examples, I did a parentheses around each term. So here I drew I have 3 terms in my equation, so I did 3 parentheses. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms in my equation, so I do 4 parentheses. Here I have 4 terms in my equation, so I have to do 4 parentheses. So, parentheses, parentheses. And then these terms that don't actually have a fraction in them, I'm going to put over 1. And now I have to find my common denominator between 3, 9, and 1. And in this case, it's going to be 9. So in this example, I did a table. You can do a table or you can write them out, however is easiest for you. All right, my common denominator is 9. So I have to multiply all of these. 9, I have 4 terms, so I need to multiply it 4 times. You have to create that equivalency, and that's why we're doing it on all of the terms. Because if we're increasing something, we have to increase it all to keep that balance of the equation. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. Bring down my minus. 9 divided by 9 is 1. Times 2 is 2m. Okay, 9 divided by 1 is 9. 9 times 15 is 135. 9 times 1 is, 9 divided by 1 is 9 times n. M gives me, all right, there should be a plus, and it's frozen. There we go. Come on. Okay, gives me 9m. So now I can just move my stuff. I'm going to do, let's do it in a different color. Plus 2m on both sides. I get 3 equals 135 plus 9 plus 2m gives me 11m. And now I need to subtract 135 from both sides. These cancel out. On this side I get 11m. And over here, 3 minus 135, they're different signs. So I get minus 132. And now I'm going to divide each side by 11. And I get, let's see, 132 divided by 11 is m equals, since there's a negative here, negative 12. Okay, couple more examples. This one looks a little bit different, right? Because this fraction has multiple terms on top. So how many terms are there in this equation? 3. Okay, what's my common denominator between 3, 12, and 4? That's right, it's 12. I think I said it instead of 2. I think I said 12 instead of 2. All right, let's multiply all of these by 12. Okay, here's a tricky thing, and I'm going to have kind of an off to the side work to show you guys what I mean. So this term here, 3c plus 8 over 3, is actually 2. We can separate that in 2. We can rewrite this. This is the same thing as 3c over 3 plus 8 over 3. Right? So it's actually 2 different terms, which means that we have to multiply the 12 by each term in the side. Okay? So let's do this. 12 and 3, they get reduced to 4 and 1. So 4 times 3c gives me 12c. 4 times positive 8 gives me 32. Okay, 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. 6 times 1 is 6. 12 and 4, that reduces down to 3 and 1. 3 times c, it gives me 3c. And now I can solve it normally. I'm going to move my 3c over. These cancel out. I'm left with 9c plus 32 equals 6. I'm going to subtract 32 from both sides, and I get 9c equals negative 26. Yep. Okay. Divide each side by 9, and I get c equals negative 26 ninths. They cannot be reduced anymore. All right. I think I have 1 or 2 more examples. All right. Why don't you guys go ahead and try this one on your own? Pause this video. Go ahead and try it. Okay. First step you should have done. Put a parentheses around each term. Second step. Found your common denominator. Oh, and put the x over 1. Did you find that the common denominator is 6? Next step, we're going to multiply each term by 6. Okay, so 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3x. Okay, 6 and 2, that turns into 3. So plus 3. 6 and 3, that turns into 2 times 4 is 8. Excuse me, guys. All right, minus 6 times divided by 1 is 6 times x is 6x. And now we can solve this normally. So I'm going to add 6x. This gives me 9x plus 3 equals 8, because these canceled out. Now I'm going to subtract 3 from each side. And I get 9x is equal to 5. And now I'm going to divide each side by 5. Whoa. I'm sorry. Divide each side by 9, not 5. I don't know what happened. Ah! Okay. More technical difficulties. What in the world? I don't know what I did. Except add subtitles, I guess. X is equal to 5/9. All right. I think you guys have got it. If you want to watch this example, I will do it at the very end. But I am going to tell you what you have to do for the assignment, and then I'll come back to this slide. So, your submission is submit a picture of your notes from today, and you're going to submit it here. Then, our conference is at 9 a.m. And then on Friday, this is not what it's going to be called. It's going to be solving MultiStep with fractions. Those will be posted on Wednesday. So same thing as last week. Hopefully last week it felt a little easier for you. All you had to do was some notes on Monday and Wednesday, and then an assignment on Friday. For the assignment on Friday, on lesson 12, a lot of you guys, I had to regrade some of it because when you wrote like no solution in it, you wrote like all these variations. So I had to like grade it manually. So it could be that it marked you wrong, but I gave you a point just because I can't credit it if it automatically grades it. So for example, if you wrote no solutions instead of no solution, like it said above, then it marked you wrong, but then I regraded it. Okay? All right. So please email me if you need help. I'm going to go ahead and do this example for those of you who want another example. My daughter is teething. She's getting her top teeth. So she's been waking up a lot. She does not seem to sleep well. So I drew my parentheses. I found my common denominator. Of 4. We're going to put it over all of these whole numbers over 1. Okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and divide. So 4 divided by 4 is 1 times 7 gives me 7x. 4 divided by 1 is 4, so 4 times 3 is 12. Just bringing down those signs. 4 divided by 1 is 4 times 2 is 8. And then 4 divided by 2 is 2 times 9 is 18. X. Okay, I'm going to subtract 7x from both sides. I get negative 12 equals 8 plus negative 18 minus 7 is 11x. Now I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. I get negative 20 equals 11. X divided by 11. And I get x is equal to negative 20 over 11. All right, hopefully this helped. Please email me if you have questions. If you want me to send you one to do on your own to check to see if you can do it, please email me. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. I hope to see you on Wednesday.